Hello and welcome back to Dave's Towpath Dawdles, and also back to Marple once more, where I'm standing amidst two of the prized landmarks on the lower Peak Forest Canal. First and most importantly, of course, one of the UK's most iconic narrowboat aqueducts, standing 100 feet tall and 309 feet long, constructed by the also iconic engineer Benjamin Outram between 1794 and 1800, and 8,000 cubic yards of masonry. And these three immense arches you see below you. If you want to see what they look like below, go to the other video. And while on the topic of the other video, I'm here because when I filmed the western half of the Peak Forest Canal last year, it was somehow creeping towards winter, and the result left many viewers on YouTube evidently disillusioned a bit. So, just to make up for it, in this lovely bright sunlight, we'd enjoy a quick bob along again and revisit all the best bits. Of course, I was a little bit rude to you just now, wasn't I? So say sorry for that. We will quickly knit down the old wooden steps here and enjoy a look at Outram's amazing creation. One more time. One more time's never going to be enough. Though with only 3 arches to look at, this must count as the Empire State Building of canal engineering. Quite obviously have to have the viaduct in the background as well, otherwise I'll just be cheating again. I mentioned right at the start that I was standing amidst 2 landmarks of this canal, and this is the second, of course. You may remember Rosehill Cutting, a former tunnel opened out during a collapse in the 19th century, after which the structure was deemed unsustainable. The giveaway to the tunnel's past is obviously, and particularly on our right, those immensely tall walls. A small portion of the tunnel at the end there stayed on as a bridge. Swing round again once more and stare back along the aqueduct before we set off onwards. Once more. And also for you railway lovers. Round a couple of kinks and we come upon the 300-metre long Hyde Bank Tunnel, the first of the 2 that still do survive to this day. No towpath through this one, if you remember, seemingly sacrificed to enable enough width for 2 narrow boats to pass alongside each other. Well, there's a nice platform down here to try. I missed this in the last video. Sorry about that. There is the light at the other end. It is actually straight, just the angle. I can't get the whole end portal in shot. You might remember my legendary sped up trip over the top from last time. for old time's sake. And one now from the other end, where we can see the Marple side is just about completely in range. Make time to admire the stonework and brickwork, of course. Oh, and sunwork. Coming into Romiley, we have the small but instantly noticeable little theatre, which has seen the people of Stockport entertained on the bankside for almost 8 decades. There's also another theatre in the town centre itself, but somehow I can tell which one people prefer. Barely seconds behind that, we have this other small tunnel, actually Bankhouse Bridge, which was later widened to allow a further couple of railway tracks to sit on the top. Hence the change in profile, as I'll show you from the far end portal once more. Some people with the dog being naughty in front. Of course, hiding only a corner or so beyond there, we have the other full length, Woodley Tunnel, which we can cross under. At 160 metres long, just over half the distance of Hyde Bank and the second longest on the route. As we emerge from there to yet another immense railway arch, this is also where we pick up on the Part 4 segment from 2024. And as we stroll on, I can tell you that 10 months earlier, some of the surrounding fields were slightly peppered in the old white stuff. You may remember that tall chimney behind the trees from the time before as well. That tall chimney beyond the trees itself belongs to the former Trianon Mill, a major contributor of the cotton industry from its opening in 1860 and in later decades saw a change of name to Unity Mill and also a change of produce too, selling animal food products instead throughout the years up to its eventual closure in 2003. Around here, and we have a barge we didn't see last time, and also appears to have grown their own garden as well with it. While this one would rather grow its own lovely shade of jade green and make up for it. Not one for the narrow-minded. Hitting Hyde at last. We now have the landmark switch bridge, aka bridge number 7, still at this stage suffering from a lack of repair. But still boasting that notoriously steep drop back to the other side again. I'm so lucky for it to be dry and sunny weather today. Another reason why I refilmed it. Yet, I feel we must do this to celebrate. Onwards into Hyde Moorings and its many snoozing barges. Is it just my imagination, or do these places look like one long shanty town stretched for a quarter of a mile along the top of water? We have that one more closely resembling a U-boat. And a little bit further along, something more closely resembling the Titanic. Or I'm sure the Titanic sunk end first, not to its side. We switch sides once again here, taking us across this serene iron deck, and as we do, I look back over there, reveals the site of the former Hyde Colliery, which closed after the explosion in the 1880s, which claimed 23 lives. A somewhat more joyful appearance to things on this side, however. Over on the other side, a pleasantly maintained set of buildings with this former warehouse. And this wistful little shed next door. We'll do the warehouse more justice from this angle, of course. One more unofficial tunnel taking us underneath the motorway. As we wave goodbye to Hyde. Bits of old bridge over the other side. Still haven't quite figured yet what that was. Life's pretty dull without a little plank rack by your side, isn't it? while I very much doubt that name's historic, there is at least industry afoot. You can just hear sounds. Shame how the best looking barge is always at the far end. I might take that back. This is the one that's got flowers on the front. Nobody told me whether this branch was available right now. At least some are available simply to cross under. You've got to ask yourself, who dared to leave all this lying about? And it's little better on the other side of Bridge 3 either. Or we're meant to call that old iron bank sides over there. I've just been reminded we haven't had any ironwork so far today. You expecting me, boys? Don't think he was though. Probably might not make it out in the shadow here as we go underneath. Very bumpy bridge below the Manchester to Glossop Railway. All cyclists, I'll warn you to dismount. Unless you have very expensive mountain bike suspension, that is. Otherwise, you might not have any suspension at all when you reach the other end. That one Canalside garden I can't keep my eyes off every single time I come past. That gazebo down the end there appears to have gained a further touch up since my last visit. Heading on close towards the end, we have the lift bridge at Dukinfield here, which is currently locked shut, I believe. Unless you have been living under a shell this last summer, you are probably aware of the state of the UK's canal system at present. Although this section appears healthy enough, a fair few old waterways are somewhat lacking in the water department itself elsewhere. Enough just to float your boat. Just probably not enough to move it a great deal, however. Coming up on the River Tame here, which we'll be crossing over very shortly. But while passing, of course, the ideal spot for a peek at that incredible 210-foot chimney towering over the Ashton Canal shortly round the corner. We end with our most attractive bridge, which a red Dalek appears to be standing guard over these days. We will shortly arriving at our next station, at which this service exterminates. Pass on our right the small arm to Portland Marina and that pretty little British gas coloured barge again. Passing over the Tame at last. And one last look at that king of chimneys. And pass under this last little arch to land face to face with the beautiful Portland Basin and its unmistakable warehouse building from 1830. Isn't she lovely? Once home to no fewer than 33 loading bays, and also the junction of not just 2 but 3 different waterways. Select, if you will, from either the Huddersfield Narrow Canal that side or the Ashton Canal this side. Either way, you will still begin or end your journey at this engineering spectacle, most likely. And it's actually the same place where I have to end things for today as well, I'm afraid. So if you enjoyed it this time round, be good, don't complain, subscribe. And finally, there should be another canal, hopefully full of water to look at. Toodle pip. Yes, I do wish to complain, as a matter of fact. I've never been subjected to such outrageous standards as this in my entire life, and I insist that everyone involved in it should be stripped of the automatic right to work in such a business again. Beg your pardon? I'm supposed to press 9 to make calls to outside the hotel. I really do apologise.